Hey, welcome back to the Fire Forge Leader podcast. This is Step Into the Fray, week 3 recap. In week 3, we flipped the script a little bit. Instead of talking to more lived experience experts, this time we went into the warrior section of this series. So last Wednesday, you heard from Heidi Chance. Heidi Chance was a Phoenix undercover officer who worked many years in the sex industry. Undercover. She actually went undercover as a sex worker. And she shared with us this experience, how she got into working in this arena, as well as she also shared with us the transition that the Phoenix law enforcement people have gone through. They started out arresting prostitutes. They would arrest the prostitutes, and it was just this never-ending cycle. So now what they've done is through these arrests, they've learned a lot of things, and now they don't any longer arrest the victims. They're really focusing on one step forward, which is focusing on the demand, on the sex buyers. And then on Saturday, you heard from a friend of mine, Kevin Metcalf. And Kevin is the reason that the series is really alive today. So Kevin is a former federal agent that turned prosecutor. And his heart got pulled into this line of work, and he actually founded the National Child Protection Task Force, which he's now retired from. He wanted to join the front lines and do more frontline work. So he became the chief intelligence officer for Sentinel Foundation. If you haven't heard of Sentinel Foundation, you really need to look them up. They're doing some amazing work. And I'm going to tell you that Kevin was really the person who opened my eyes to what human exploitation and trafficking really is. Not what they show on the movies, but what it really is in America. And then he also helped me contact a lot of the other people that are on this series. I'm proud to be in the fight alongside this man. He is an amazing individual. So for week 3, as always, I want to share with you a couple takeaways that I have from these interviews. And once again, I invite you on those interviews. If you have some takeaways from them, please post those up in YouTube. You can find all of the videos that go live at Fire Forge Leader, all one word, on YouTube. In Heidi's experience, I really learned a couple of things. First off is that as a society, we need to do a better job educating ourselves on what trafficking looks like. We also need to make sure that we're engaged. We're engaged in our community. We're engaged with law enforcement, making sure that they get the proper training so we stop arresting victims, so we stop going after the wrong people, and we really start looking at the root cause. In talking with Kevin, he told us some shocking things that as a parent really rattled me to my core. He talked about the dangers of the electronic world that we live in today and our children. He talked about how these predators really go out and hunt, how they're looking for weaknesses and exploiting those weaknesses. For example, he talked about if a kid has an anxiety and tries to find peers with anxiety and goes into some sort of a chat room, that predators can actually lurk there. And we as parents think that, Oh, it's probably a pretty good deal that they're inside of this chat room, but they can be exposed through that weakness or perceived weakness of anxiety. But he also told us some great things as parents. He told us that we need to create great bonds with our children, that they can always talk to us. And he also opened my eyes to this realization, this, excuse me, relationship between trust and control that we should have with our kids. If we have high trust with our kids, we should have low control. And vice versa. If we have low trust, we should increase the control. But it needs to stay in balance. And he also reassured me that we as parents have the most influence over our kids in our lives. We need to spend the time with them, though. We need to talk to them. We need to talk about hard topics. We can't protect them by not talking to them about things. We protect them by being that influence and having those hard discussions. So, in the coming week, we're going to continue on this vein with these warriors out in the field. On the 1st of November, we're going to speak to another good friend of mine, Ben Owen, who joins us and talks to us about his story of growing up, well, not growing up, but on the streets of Memphis, where his life really took a dive at. He was homeless, he was addicted, and through all that, he saw the evils out there on the street. He looked them in the eyes. And then we talk about the organizations that he and his wife have founded, namely Flanders Fields and We Fight Monsters. And We Fight Monsters is an organization that is providing direct personal care to survivors out there on the street. And then this following Saturday, Joseph Scaramucci, who is a former McLennan County sheriff down in Texas, a man with hundreds and hundreds of arrests of sex buyers, and also one of the people who is well known for changing the face of trafficking by looking at the sex workers as the victims and going back a step to fight the fight. He goes to the sex buyers, he goes to the pimps, he goes to the people who are funding this, who are benefiting, profiting from it. Now, recently, he just took a job change as well, where he's the director of law enforcement engagement for Skull Games. Skull Games is an incredible organization, and I encourage you to look it up as well. It's dedicated to really hunting predators and fighting trafficking in America. Now, once again, I need you to remember that this series, it's not for enjoyment. It's not for casual listening. Rather, it's here to do a couple of things. It's to increase your knowledge about this topic, the topic of human exploitation and human trafficking. It's to help provide you with resources so that you know how to help people in need. And then last but not least, the third thing is, damn it, this is a call to action. I am calling you right now to step into the fray, get involved. You can find resources and ways that you can get involved with all of these fine guests and their missions at www.fireforgedleader.com. Now, before I wrap this up, I would also like to give a huge shout out to a friend of mine, JP Roberts. JP is a person who has done some of the graphics that you see in this series. He's a true artist, people. So if you're looking for any sort of art or design work, I encourage you to check out his work at www.jproberts.com. Whether it's illustration for a children's book, digital watercolor, 3D modeling, or even a storyboard, go check it out. If you're looking for photography for your products, nature photography, or even architecture, go check him out. If it's billboard, magazine, marquee, or any other high-end digital design, go check it out. I'm telling you, this guy does it all. So once again, his website is www.jproberts.com. I appreciate everybody who's listening in, but really go out there and get involved. These people out there need you.